Okay, so the last couple of sessions we've been looking at painting flowers. So I thought on this one I will paint the flowers on trees. This is more my kind of subject, painting sort of landscape-based flowers. So these are brought a couple of examples in. So that's one I did on site quite a few years ago. I think it was 2017, so a long time ago. So that one's in oils. This is up at Westcliff Parade. So I've painted quite a few paintings of the blossom trees at Westcliff Parade over the years. And then this, I think I might have shown you this last session. This was painted at Sutton Road Cemetery and sort of painting with the South End Pan Air painters, which Matthew came on to. So this is the scene we painted. This one's acrylic, so I've been experimenting a little bit with acrylic painting with the blossom trees, so that's what I do today. So I'm going to make this the last session I work on the flowers project, but if you want to keep going, then I'll obviously do that. The theme for the next couple of weeks is fabrics. So if you wanted to do something like that, that would be fine. It's a request that I had from one of my other groups. I thought that might be quite interesting. So it could be drawing or painting. So having a go at painting fabrics. It could be fabrics attached to a person or just a little setup of still life. So if you fancy trying that and you've got a piece of fabric you want to bring in, the easiest way is going to be like a plain fabric, and we'll just set it up so the light catches it. If you want more of a challenge, then maybe something with patterns or textures. So, yeah, if that grabs you, then but that will be, could be, yeah, we could improvise. I've got some fabrics I can bring in, but if you've got something of your own, that'd be good.
I think there's an artist that could is it Ongres or Ingres?
Young, yeah.
I've printed these off a book.
Yeah.
The National Gallery.
Yeah.
That one.
That's right.
That one.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, got some nice examples to work from. So that's that. Yes, this month, May, it's a 3-week month because I'm taking the last week away. I'm off painting for a week, so I won't be here that week. So yeah, it's just a 3-week month. Some of you have got sessions to carry over and things like that, which hopefully I'll send that through. But if not, I can let you know. Okay, I think that's that. Right, so one of the things I found painting these sort of scenes. So generally, I would paint. I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit painting the tree, but I would generally paint the background first. So I'd paint the sky, perhaps the buildings beyond here, put those and get the background in first. But the bit I'm just going to demonstrate is the actual tree itself. Another thing I found, painting anything like flowers that have got a nice bright pink, you really need certain colours, like things like magenta or rose. You need those sort of colours, which are, they're fairly popular colours, but they're not necessarily, they don't always come in the standard packs of paint. So sometimes you need quite a nice vibrant, pinky, purpley colour to achieve those sort of things. What I would do here is probably just start by I won't paint the whole lot, I'll just do a little section. Maybe just get a sense of where I want the main shapes to be. So that can be the main, this section here. So this being acrylics, it's going to dry quite quickly. And then I'll just get something, that's like just the main shape locked in. And then I tend to get some of the darks in. And one of the things I've found in the past is that when I've been out painting, I've not made it dark enough in the background. So it's been hard to get the brighter, lighter bits to show up. So I found it's quite important to get that nice and dark. So basically using a little bit of blue or purple mixed in with the pinky colour to get a nice dark colour. I'm just going to add maybe a tiny bit of brown just to make that a little bit darker still, a bit more blue. So these shadowy areas, get those in to start with, and that's perhaps a bit too purple. A bit more red to that. So, and what I tend to look for is like these broad areas of dark, almost like sort of waves of light and dark going through the image. So I don't get too hung up on odd details too early on. So just kind of blocking in big areas of tone and colour. And then I'll make that a little bit more pinky now, so I'm adding more of the magenta colour into that. And the other thing is not using too small a brush too early. So perhaps paint as much as I can with a bigger brush. So this is obviously acrylic, so if you're working in watercolours, it will be a much more challenging subject. You probably need a much different approach. But this would work fine for oils and acrylics, this sort of approach. So that's most of the mid-tones. White brush here. And then just go a tone lighter, so a little bit lighter still. And a tiny bit of, just a little bit of white mixed in there. So I'm just getting some whiter areas. And then go lighter still, a bit more white mixed in with the pink. So there's quite some areas here where there's a lot of light catching those particular areas. So it's as much trying to see the lights and darks, the tonal values as the colour. Bits coming down here. And this passage, a little bit of lighter passage here. And you carry on around here. And then going lighter still, a little bit more white. So this is really getting much lighter now. Just picking out. So using a reasonable sized brush, but sometimes using it flat, sometimes using the corner. Just varying the brush marks a little bit to suggest the blossoms. And a few more down here. And then perhaps just go almost white for the very brightest bits, and looking at where, basically going over some of these light pink bits, but just catching a little bit of light on the edges of some of them. And then the other thing sometimes to do is perhaps have a smaller brush so that you've got some bigger marks and some little marks. Just have a few just little tiny dots and dashes. That's probably getting a little bit too wet. It's quite a tiny bit thicker. A little here and there. So that's how I generally approach painting blossoms. The other thing I've tried on there, this was one of the demos I did in one of the other classes. A very similar thing, but with this one I've tried, made little tiny marks as well as others. The other thing I've tried is some like dry brush marks. So where an area is dry, this is still quite white, but you could almost just sort of, let's go a bit darker. If you've got a textured board, it's picking up a little bit of the texture of the board, so it's not such a sharp mark. So I tried a little bit of that around here because this was quite a rough board, and a bit around here. And the other thing was just really splattering. So just making it quite runny and doing that sort of thing. better with a toothbrush or something that's a bit more rigid. Get some little tiny marks. So just varying the way that you put the paint on. So yeah, a couple of weeks ago we looked at textures and suggesting using things like knives and bits of plastic and things like that. So again, you could bring all that into it, just to vary the surface a little bit. All good? Anybody want to ask anything? Yeah, so I've got a few photos of blossom trees if you want to choose any of these.